it's very, very hard to
It is.
determine.
But it's a conversation that needs to
It
start,
does,
right?
yeah.
Because instead of just saying...
There's nothing there for the referee to go against at the moment.
No.
Just give yellow card, that's it. Free yellow card. Letter of the law, the referee's doing the right thing.
The GAA Hour is sponsored by Paddy Power. For exclusive content from their GAA ambassadors and other high-profile contributors, check out news.paddypower.com.
So lads, the Munster hurling snobs are gone very quiet. It's a 12-point average winning margin. I think the Munster hurling championship is the most one-sided in either code, hurling and football. So they're going to have to stay very quiet. Hurling snobs are one thing, Munster hurling snobs are a different breed altogether. So it's all about the Leinster Championship now, JJ. Like, I mean, that's where the draws are happening. That's where the close, exciting games are happening. It's been some turnaround in 1 year. It's
been huge, yeah, and that's down probably to the resurgence of Dublin there as well. They're actually coming on leaps and bounds the last 6 or 8 months, and the guys now, the new management team over, they have to take huge credit for that there as well. But I suppose the first game against Kilkenny, Dublin very unlucky now not to win that one, but the draw against Wexford really set it up there as well, and everyone, unfortunately, they bet Carlo fairly well, every team as well. But yeah, next Saturday night now is going to be huge, you know what I mean? It's down to the last game, and there's one team out of 4 playing their next Saturday night that won't go through, you know, so someone's going to play their last game of the championship now next Saturday night.
There's a lot of permutations. I'm going to hold them off for Wednesday's show. We're not going to go through them too. Last time Kilkenny were beaten in Nolan Park, JJ. When?
70 years ago.
Yeah, but do you know the actual date and by who?
No.
Brian, do you?
No, 49 was it?
Yeah, 1949. Well done. Cheddar Plunkett sent me a text last night. Laois beat them in the Leicester final in 1949.
I should have seen that coming, Willie.
We should have had to get that an old mention on the show. Come here, talk to me, JJ, about this controversy at the end of the game, because I was in Croke Park yesterday. I didn't actually see it, so I'm kind of going off the Sunday game and going off Brian Cody, what he said. So 2 minutes of extra time. There was 4 minutes of extra time, but 2 minutes were taken up over a TJ Reid free.
TJ Reid, he had a free. Everyone thought it was a 21 because he got fouled. Actually, Colin Finlay got fouled, and then he went on again. He got fouled closer to the 21-yard line. So that, and David Burke hit Richie Latty at the end of a hurl. Richie Latty went down. David Burke went into the the referee went in, called David Burke out, gave him a yellow card, went back, and all the Kilkenny forwards were outside the 21. So once 21-yard free, the forwards can go in there. Outside the 21, the forwards can go in there. So the confusion there for another 30 or 40 seconds, and then TJ took the free. There was exactly 2 minutes between when the referee blew the whistle and TJ struck the free there as well. And he had 4 minutes injury time, and that 4 minutes was in 35 minutes of play. So he should have played a minimum of 4 minutes. But in that 4 minutes, there's 2 minutes took up from that free, and he only played around 20 seconds over the fourth minute.
Just about, because it wasn't Conor Whelan kind of knocked it out of play, and maybe that made the ref's mind up for him, because Conor was like, if when it goes out, it's over, but it wasn't.
That's if the ball was in play for the 4 minutes injury time, but it wasn't. The 2 minutes were gone, you know, so you feel very aggrieved. The way Kilkenny were going at that particular time, you think they would have got another score with that as well, you know. So it's just it's a lot of confusion, but I didn't think he had a great game overall anyway, to be honest with you, but that really kind of put the icing on the cake for the Kilkenny fans anyway, to be fair. Yeah.
Brian, I know how you would treat this situation. You would all walk out of the stands and you'd sit down in the middle of the pitch.
No, we have form in that, and it worked. It
did work, yeah. It did work. Were you sitting on the pitch in Croker by any chance?
By God, I was. I was only 15 at the time, and I remember a couple of people going out into the field and calling everyone out of the stands. It would have been the new Cusick stand at the time, and everyone was kind of looking at them first, going, "What are you at?" But lo and behold, as people started to trickle out, it became a flood, and out into the field, chanting and singing songs, and it was brilliant. But what afterwards of that is actually poor old Kildare and Kerry, I think it was, were due to play in an under-21 All-Ireland, All-Ireland after the game. So they were waiting in the tunnels in the old Hogan stand side, and they were ready to come out. So I think the Kerry lads came out, and I remember a few lads from Worklow alone at the hurl and the slip Rothman were poking balls over the bars so to be able to tell everyone at home that they scored a point in Colm Parkinson. The same lads with the hurl saved their lives, but they were able to tell everyone they scored. So a great day. I remember that so fondly, and it made for a great summer. Obviously, it's one of the best championships. Well, we'll definitely say it was one of the best championships of all time in '98.
Yeah, fairy tale stuff for a 15-year-old. There's no question of this being like. There's nothing. You have to move on now, JJ, because there's a game next weekend.
It's all. Look, come here. If Kilkenny qualify next weekend, there'll be nothing about it whatsoever. like, you know what I mean? But it could be a costly decision out near the end, you know, that kind of
with
way.
the momentum, you'd have fancied Kilkenny in 2 minutes, right?
2 minutes, yeah. They're on the crest of the wave and they're going attacking, and Galway were kind of sitting back defending their leader as well. They weren't going attacking their lead as well. So yeah, it's frustrating from Kilkenny point of view now, but again, there's a lot of positive for Kilkenny there as well. They dive with their boots on again, and it's one thing when they're playing Kilkenny now, and it's just, you'll be proud looking at the guys now out there yesterday as well. When you're going to have to beat them 75, 76, 77 minutes, let's say, coming at you, you're going to have to, you got to win against Kilkenny, this Kilkenny team now, you learn it.
Yeah, no, you definitely will. They definitely have that. We'll talk about that. We're going to focus on that game in part 2. But, like, I mean, Brian, I want to throw this one to you because there was a lot of cynicism from Galway and they were pulling Kilkenny down and trying to stop their comeback. And there was, like, let's be honest, there was black card offences. Now, I know hurling people are allergic to this because it has caused a lot of messing in Gaelic football and too much analysis about it. But at the same time, some sanction has to come in for cynical play towards the end of a game.
Yeah, and we saw a lot of it from Galway, and actually Robert Downey did it for Cork as well against Waterford the other night. A lad was going in by him and he clipped his ankles with his hurling. We've seen that starting to creep into the game now. It was done, Tipperary I think did it as well. So it's not nice, and I know JJ will say from the other end, from he's down, you stop a goal at all costs, but it's becoming prevalent now at this stage, and I think there's going to have to be something done over it. About it over the next probably season or two, but hurling people will be slow to bring in these sort of rules. You'll definitely hear the likes of Brian Cody going absolutely crazy if they even think about it. As far as he's concerned, we'll get rid of cards altogether. But you know, it's the cynical things I think is the things that are really, there's no, you'll gladly take your yellow card and move on, like, and you know, sure, he's no choice but to tap the ball over the bar, and that you're stopping clear goal scoring opportunities. I don't know, and if we don't introduce a card, I think there should be probably more of a punishment, that maybe it's a if it's a professional foul, for want of a better term, that it's automatic penalty or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah, I think that's because Billy Ryan was pulled down by Pádraig Mannion, and TJ Reid was pulled down, and then Hart tripped Aylward, which ended up getting Aylward sent off because he reacted to it. A trip should be, that's cynical too. He couldn't rejoin the play. Like, I mean, I think maybe, see, referees are struggling to determine what's cynical, professional, and what's not. That's the problem in Gaelic football. The actual principle of the punishment is right.
It's
right?
three of them. Probably the worst one, well, the best one from Galway point of view was Pádraig Mannion. He just held on to Billy Ryan's hand because Pádraig Welch was free on the 14, 10 yards out, and if Billy had got his hand free, he was just hand passed it, and Pádraig had a goal chance, and you'd have fancied his chances of 14 yards out one-on-one. He would have scored it too, you know. So from a Galway point of view, absolutely brilliant for you'd be patting Pádraig Mannion on the back for doing it, you know. But again, it's a yellow card, but is it that punishment enough for it? I don't think it is, to be honest with you. You know what I mean? Again, what Brian's saying would be 100% right. If it's a goal scoring opportunity and you take someone down cynically like that, you should have an opportunity to take the shot at the goal with the yellow card there as well. Like, you know, but how you bring that in and how you sanction it, is it inside the 21 when you bring someone down? Will it be a penalty then? All right, you know, but then again, the situation, Billy Ryan was outside the 21 yesterday as well, like, so it's very, very hard to determine.
But it's a conversation that needs to
start,
right? Because instead of just saying,
there's nothing there for the referee to go against at the moment. Just give yellow card, that's it. Free yellow card. Letter of the law, the referee's doing the right thing. But again, if you were, again, the Kilkenny's point of view, we had a goal scoring opportunity. We got a point out, fair enough, all right, but we had a goal scoring opportunity. A goal at that point, and that situation in the game would have been a huge score for Kilkenny. Yeah,
the red cards were interesting enough. Like, I mean, I thought Paul Murphy probably had to go for the persistent fouling. Like, I know he couldn't really have gotten out of the way, but he did wrap the hands around, you know. And like, I think Concannon really played for it now as well. He bounced back off him to make it look worse. Yeah.
I think the referee, in fairness to me, said that that's 5 fouls. You could see his lips saying it was 5 fouls. He fouled Conor Whelan over the line there as well, probably around 10 minutes before that, probably in the referee's mind. Probably persistent fouling was, that itself wasn't a yellow card, but that with the 3 or 4 other fouls that he made, I'd say probably made up the referee's mind for him. You know, so
he deserved to go. Aylward is the one I've the most sympathy on, Brian, because this is bullshit really from referees, and it's the laziest thing you'll ever see. Yeah. And 2 lads go wrestling, they both get yellow cards. Like, this is incredible. So Aidan Hart tripped him up. Aylward just came back. He did very little, and Hart initiated the grip, and they were wrestling then. and then to get 2 yellows. That was a yellow for Hart, not for Aylward. Now, how can a referee justify giving 2 yellows? The easiest thing in the world is to get your man on a yellow card in Gaelic games, because I've done it plenty of times. I remember in matches, one especially, it was marking Keane O'Sullivan, and I remember Alan Brogan telling me, you've no chance on this lad, he's too fast. And I got into my head, well, I'll get the 2 of us on a yellow early and at least he'll be under pressure.
Yeah.
Now, it did me no good, but like Keane O'Sullivan's a gentleman. And I acted the tramp with him, and I got him on a yellow after 10 minutes. The Keane O'Sullivan didn't want any part of the wrestling, but I got him on the ground, and we wrestled, and we both got a yellow.
Yeah.
It's just so wrong, Brian, isn't it? Like, I mean, and how often it happens.
Oh, I've been on the tail end of that more times as well. You know, the stuff off the ball, and you're dead right though. As a forward, sometimes that's the only way you can protect yourself too, is to try and get your back on. Just grab them, go to the ground, body. Make sure you don't touch their helmets in the current rule, and both you'll get yellow cards, and it should suit you. But then the flip side of it, I've seen it happen where you know, if you're on a yellow, your marker will do absolutely everything he can to try and get you sent off then at that stage.
Yeah.
I remember Shane O'Neill from Cork actually stamping on my toes and just got away with it so subtly, but I got thick and I didn't hit him, but I just kind of grabbed him, and I was already on a yellow. And I remember the ref, I was just being warned I was going to be sent off. And I remember all you wanted to do was burst Shane O'Neill after he doing that to you. But there's nothing you could do. Like, you had to keep your temper. But lads will do that, and they'll push it to the last.
So do you?
But you're right. Going back to the initial one, like Ger Aylward, like, could you blame him? Because it was a real dirty one out of Hart. Like, you know, he just swept the legs from under him, and you couldn't blame Ger for getting taken in those situations.
No, and
Hart would have fouled him 3 times for argument's sake, right? He had the initial foul, he got up Ger, and then he kicked him, and then he wrestled him as well. How can 3 of the fouls be the same punishment as one foul what Ger done?
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't make sense, and then he gets punished again because that's his second yellow. Like,
Hart knew what he was doing, I think, when he started holding Aylward.
Yeah,
I think
Hart was when Ger came back,
enough,
he was happy enough. Like,
happy enough to get this going now.
I'd say he was just happy enough that Ger didn't. Hart was on the ground. His last ditch was, I'll trip him now, and he's down. If he's not, he's going to go through, and you can never know what's going to happen. He'd have an overlap or something like that as well. But he had 3 fouls on Ger's one. Ger got yellow card, and then Hart got yellow card. It doesn't make sense. Like,
no.
You know, how can you do 3 things and have the same punishment as one thing for Jerry? You know, it just doesn't make sense.
No, it doesn't make sense. What are we all agreed on? It was hard people probably won't agree on Hanbury, because anywhere on the field outside of a dangerous position, that's a yellow. It's not really a red, was it? No. It was I wouldn't have that as a red.
If you look at Jerry's reaction, he got up straight away, back up, got the free yellow card. Everyone would have been happy. I wouldn't say he was looking for a red card for that. You know?
No, I wouldn't say either. So we'll move on from that. What's going on with Clare, Brian? Like, I mean, I can't believe they're even still in it. If they beat Cork, am I right in saying next week they'll beat Cork on the head to head? If Limerick beat Tip, and you fancy Limerick to beat Tip, because you'd imagine Tip won't put out their full team. They're in the final. So you'd imagine if Clare beat Cork next week, they're through. And they don't, like, how are they through? They're absolute shambles.
Yeah, they're a disaster, and I'm getting it in the ear now from a lot of my mates, because I tipped Clare to do well this year and thought they might be dark horses for All Ireland. So, what do we know as pundits? No, but they're terrible. They're absolutely, like, I suppose they seem leaderless as well. They can't get Tony Kelly in the ball. It actually mirrors a lot of what's going on with Waterford. You know, obviously Tony Kelly, Austin Gleeson situation, the boys have a free role more or less. They don't know where they're supposed to be playing. They're not getting in the ball. Anytime they're touching it, they're too deep, and they're not having any influence on the game whatsoever. John Conlon's not at the same heights as he was at last year. Now, he was more dangerous in the first half, particularly in the first 15-20 minutes, but still at the same time, Limerick, he might have been winning ball and winning frees, but he never really looked like scoring either. 1 point from play, Peter Duggan in the first half, he was the only one that made any sort of inroads, and it's a shambles, being honest, as you said. That's probably the best way to describe it. And like, they look like they're over reliant on a very structured approach, and they're persistent with their puck out strategies and trying to work the ball through the lines, and then the odd time go along, and sometimes you just rather the front it up. I know we keep coming back to this, but try and take on Limerick in some sort of a battle, but it's because Limerick bullied them from start to finish. They absolutely bullied them, and they relished the physical stakes.
Right. It's weird, because maybe stuff will come out during this week, because Waterford took the same hammerings as Clare, and they played a close match each.
Yeah.
And there's all loads of rumours coming out of Waterford. There's nothing coming out of Clare. There's not the same level of crisis in Clare, but it's the exact same
It's the same
crisis.
situation
really.
now, Barry.
It's
If they
just
take
harder to explain.
But if they take a hammer now next weekend, it's the exact same. They had the exact same year as Waterford.
Yeah.
And you could argue the point in that Waterford game, if that went on another 5 minutes, Waterford came strong near the end.
Yeah.
And Maurice Shannon was winning a lot of ball. They could actually bet him near the end as well. Like, you know, like, so they'd have to be very, very worried about what's going to happen Sunday as well. Like.
But this is the interesting, like, you can explain the Waterford thing away with a new manager, maybe new style, and, you know, turnover of players, and the Brick isn't the player he used to be. But this is the same young group of Clare players, relatively young, and the same management.
Yeah.
So this is even more hard. This is a real head scratcher.
It is, yeah. It's just, I'd love to know what's going on in Clare training ground. Like, you know, do they actually do tackling drills or anything? It doesn't seem to be physically up front. They didn't tackle Limerick. Just the Limerick full back line was just walking it with ball after ball after ball. Then hit Declan Hannon. Declan Hannon hits Aaron Gallagher as well. They had a method of play, and every one of them knows exactly what they're doing. Whereas the flip side, Clare didn't look like they realised what do we have to do to beat this Limerick team, you know. Right. And I expecting a big response after last week, but geez, they were very, very poor. They had a couple of goal chances to start. You could say the kind of momentum went away from after that. But as players, you need to stand up there as well, and Podge Collins need to stand up. Aaron Shanners had a good. He started, but he was very, very poor. I expecting big things from him this summer again. You know, injury free there and hurling away for the last while, but he was poor as well. And it's just, you're scratching your head wondering, on paper, yeah, tick all the boxes, these are great lads, and they have been good hurlers, but they don't actually put it together as a team, you know. So
yeah.
There's some big questions have to be asked there as well.
Was Tipperary underperforming last year, Brian? Were we overrating some of these Munster teams? Do you know that, like, Tipperary weren't anywhere near at their level last year? You know, realistically, you'd be looking at Tipperary, Limerick and Cork. You know, yeah, maybe the chickens are coming home to roost a bit more now that Tipperary are the dominant force that really, with the players they have, they should be.
Yeah, and then go back to All-Ireland semi-final last year, like Galway were, like, if you go back and analyse those games, Galway went about 7 points to 1 up in the opening 20 minutes and missed a sitter of a goal chance. They could have been home and hosed against Clare that day, and only for Clare brought back Colm Galvin as the sweeper, they worked their way back into the game. But Galway were like, you know, they were on the ropes almost after the 2 games against Kilkenny and then the 2 games against Clare. They just seemed a tired team towards the end of last year. You know, the 2 year kind of after winning All-Ireland, the league and all that, they just seemed very tired towards the end of last year. So maybe that kind of has given a false dawn to how good Clare actually are. And as you said, Tipperary obviously were very poor last year, very disjointed, and we've seen that their players were all over the place, and even the way they structured their team. So yeah, it's extremely disappointing, and you know, we've heard numerous times from Ger Lucknan and some of the biggest critics of Clare that Clare won a soft All-Ireland in 2013. Now I know Dave will go mad with saying this, there's no such thing as a soft All-Ireland, but I suppose none of the big traditional teams were there that year. You know, Kilkenny
Cork
were beaten, Tip were beaten. Yeah, but Cork were they were a surprise package that year. They were in dire straits. Jimmy Barry Murphy kind of came with a kind of we won't even say, like, if you look at the team, we go back over the structure of that team, they ran straight through the centre numerous times. Like, no, I don't know, like, Dublin should have beaten Cork in that All-Ireland semi-final going back that far as well. Like, so, you know, Clare have never hit the heights of that at all. They've never got anywhere even close to getting back, you know, to that sort of level. And it's disappointing for a team like of All-Ireland winners. Like, I know that they've lost a handful of players there, Brendan Bugler and Pat Onlan and that, but they still won a huge amount underage, so they should have been able to fill the gaps pretty easily. But, you know, you see Anthony Daly come out then last week as well. He's very critical of the fact that they're over-reliant on structures and game plans and tactics, and you know, it's becoming a crutch almost for certain teams.
Yeah, I don't know what to make of them. We'll see next week. You wouldn't have too much confidence with them, although they're home to Cork, which is incredible that they still have a chance, and they win that head-to-head.
Yeah, they're true then. They
could still be true, like, which is unbelievable. So Laois are into the Joe McDonagh Cup final, lads. They beat Kerry. They got 5 goals against Kerry in the game. They were leading 3-11 to 1-11 at half-time. They had 8 different scores. Chad Dwyer got 1-3 from midfield. Westmeath look like they're back in the race now. They beat Antrim 29 points to 21. So Laois play Westmeath next, and Laois are kind of in the same boat as Tipperary, this is probably more of a question for the Thursday show, is that, like, Laois are through. Tipperary are through. They play the team that they're most likely to play in the final. Do you keep the run going? Do you keep confidence high? Or do you play your second string and go, like, this is all hindsight analysis, really. You have to wait to see the outcome. You don't know.
You never know until you go play the game and you go play the actual final then and see how it goes, really, more than that. But I suppose, look, they'll say if they're trying up lads, they're going to try their squad there as well. And if you're going to try your squad, you might as well try it when you're actually fully qualified, and then bring back your big guns in, and then it gives a bit of competition for place there as well. If guys do play well with that particular game, they can go play the final then as well, and you're straight in your hand there as well. But I couldn't see the point of playing your full strength team and your last game when you're qualified already, to be honest with you.
Yeah, me neither. So, like, without using the benefit of hindsight, the correct thing to do in this situation, Brian, is to play your panel, right?
I slightly disagree. I'd play 10, 11, 12 of the starting team and put in those players that are knocking on the door.
Right.
Give them opportunities, because there's nothing worse. Like we're probably all lucky that we were starting on teams regularly, but there's nothing worse when you're like trying to break onto a panel and next minute you're starting with 3 or 4 other guys in the defence or in the forwards, and you're all trying to make the team. Whereas if you're slotting in beside someone that's already in the team, and you can, say for instance corner forward, you have regular full forwards there beside you, the regular centre forward, the regular wing forward, it's a lot easier to try and perform and put your hand up in those situations.
Yeah.
So I'd have a look at only 3-4 players, and then you can bring on a few players then as well and give them a bit of game time. So I wouldn't make wholesale changes to the team. I'd still try and go and win it, and keep the mainstay. If anyone has any sort of a niggle, I'd make them rest and situate to that. But I wouldn't go with a full new panel. I think when you're winning, keep winning, and keep other teams doubting.
Okay, that's fair enough. We'll agree to disagree on that one. So there was an incredible stat from Brendan Cummins last night in the Sunday game, right? So Limerick had 71 passes and 35 were misplaced. 35 went astray. Half, right? So Limerick, for me, are the second best possession team in the country. Cork are the best. Cork are the best at that, stick passes to hand. So here we are now from a football snob. So 71 passes. This is the second best possession based team in hurling. And I'd never seen a stat like that, because you never really know, So they're pucking half of them away.
Yeah, but who's picking them
Explain
up?
to me here, JJ.
Who's picking them up after they've fair enough, half position going away. Limerick doesn't get it, but I'd say another Limerick is picking up straight away after. I didn't see many clear lads coming out, too many rucks with that either, to be honest with you. Limerick. Right. I was surprised with that stat, to be honest with you, because I thought Limerick were very economical in the ball in 20-30 yards, and they're usually straight to hand now as well. Now, you can take conditions into it, a bit of shower rain maybe before the game or something like that. You can put that into account, but I wouldn't say they lost a huge amount of second phase play, if you want, for argument's sake. I'd say another Limerick lad, the way they were all over the field there yesterday. So I'd say if one Limerick lad lost it, I'd say the second guy picked it up. I'd say I wouldn't say a Clare lad came out with it, to be honest with you.
Right. So maybe that's a ball that might break down and the Limerick man gets it and puts it over the bar. Would that be a misplaced pass, Brian, then on the stats?
Yeah, that'd be my reading of it as well. And I think, in fairness, Limerick, they're the masters of the second ball, and I suppose most teams that are dominant in any game, it's the second ball that counts so much, because you wouldn't think, looking at that game, I think we're all perplexed looking at that statistic, 35, almost half, that they hit that many balls away and were so dominant. I don't know, it just seemed that Limerick had possession and way more possession than Clare, and seemed to use it so intelligently. But it must have been that any of the longer strike balls might have been more 50-50, but eventually Limerick won that second phase, as far as I'd be concerned.
Yeah, it seems fair. I was going to suggest get a few football coaches in there, lads, to try and retain possession, but we'll leave it there.